Hey listeners, thank you so much for listening to HRN. We want to make your experience as a listener even better, and to help us do that, we'd love your input on our audience survey. It'll only take a few minutes, and by completing it, you can enter to win a $250 gift card from Goldbelly. Visit heritageradionetwork.org/survey to take the survey and to help us keep growing and improving. That's heritageradionetwork.org/survey. Thanks for your support.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Since 2009, HRN podcasts have been exploring the wide world of food, beverage, and agriculture. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
Whether you're a chef or just love going to restaurants, you know the best ingredients are everything. Westholme is working with the land to create nature-led Australian Wagyu. Learn more at westholme.com.
We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes, finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Hey everyone, welcome to Snacky Tunes Salon. So excited to be kicking off the holiday season with you. Yes, this is the holiday season. We are past Halloween and on to Thanksgiving and the winter holiday times. So excited for you to all be here. Want to shout a big shout out to our host ChowNow and Chris Webb. Thanks for having us, and a special shout out to Aaron Dahl for helping produce this as well. And then also to all of our sponsors, especially Square for being a presenting sponsor and giving us all support. And then Jumbo Time Wines, Sky Duster, and American Water. They're the ones who are keeping you hydrated tonight. We have a lot of guests tonight, and first up we have Kat Turner, chef partner of Highly Likely, and Carrie Moser, president of Delicious Monster, right here. And then Mackenzie and Harley, owners of Stir Crazy, and Caroline, the chef of Stir Crazy. Welcome. If you haven't been to the restaurants, this is a perfect time of year to go. I mean, it's any time's a good year, but they're cozy, and you can bring friends and hang out. Huge fan of the holiday season. I always think that this is like a good time of year to join with friends and family and community. And I'm not a new transplant to LA. I've been here for almost a decade, but LA definitely is a fun place to hang out for the holidays. So I'd love to ask you all why you love LA and what makes it so special for the holiday season.
LA, has anybody seen the movie Less Than Zero? So I grew up in Wisconsin.
Wow. Yes, that is what the good times.
No, but like
Wow.
I grew up in Wisconsin, you know. I grew up in Wisconsin. I grew up in a really small town, and I always really wanted to move to California, wanted to move to LA. And I remember watching Less Than Zero when I was probably too young, honestly. But there's like some really great Christmas scenes, and there's some really great, like, you know, they're in Palm Springs, they're in, you know, it's LA. It feels very kind of like glamorous. And, you know, there was this like idea of like the palm trees with the Christmas lights.
Sure.
And that was very romanticized to me. So like getting to see it for real, you know, when I moved here was amazing.
Did you see the other parts that were also featured in the movie?
I mean, I was here in my 20s, so I did see.
What about you guys down there? What do you love about LA for the holiday season? What makes it unique?
I'm a New Yorker, so I'm still working on it, actually.
Fair. That is actually the only right answer. But yes. But it has its specialties.
I think I grew up in Los Angeles, so I'm very attuned to the seasons and non-seasons, and I feel like fall is a genuine season out here, and it gets chilly, and it's cozy, and I just think the sunshine gets a lot of play out here, and then it really does kind of cool off.
Yeah, the night times, I'm thankfully it agreed and showed up tonight to be like a little chill in the air. I mean, you can still drive with your windows down, but it's fine. So obviously Thanksgiving, winter holidays means a lot to different people. Most people don't own restaurants. Most people just focus on their families or who's ever in their lives. What does it mean as a person and a restaurateur for the holiday season to each of you? These questions were sent in advance, so.
Yeah. As I was walking up, Kat was like, "You got the questions, right?" And I was like, "There's questions?" So no, I didn't get these questions before. I'm sorry. I can roll with it. I mean, I guess I would say, you know, part of this is my answer to the first question, but, you know, at least in my community, it feels like LA is a lot of transplants. So for me, when the holidays come up, one thing I like about it is just, you know, I'm mostly getting together with my friends who are all from different parts of the country or from, you know, a completely different country. And I love that kind of mixed chosen family sort of experience. In terms of running a restaurant, I mean, my mind immediately goes to like events and making a profit.
Yeah.
You know, trying to like, I get a little bit of PTSD on just like, okay, you know, how are we going to go through this and be successful and, you know, get people to show up and create a special experience when, you know, there's so many places to go. I mean, well, historically, you know, I ran a restaurant that was open for a free meal on Thanksgiving called Cafe Gratitude, where we open up the doors and we serve all of our food for free, and all of the staff were our customers. So like the customers would come behind the bar and serve the drinks and work in the kitchen. It was an insurance nightmare. But so if you want to turn Thanksgiving into a lawsuit, I can show you how to do it. No, just kidding. No one sued us. But you know, at least from the era of Cafe Gratitude from that particular restaurant, you know, it was really a big day for us, and in having, you know, this sort of give back experience that wasn't geared towards money at all. And that really kind of, you know, has always been a special experience for us with that restaurant.
That's amazing. What about you guys?
Well, we're a new restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's a nice foil to have, you know, more established Angelino restaurateurs and owners, and we're still very much building Stir Crazy. So we're only going into our second holiday season, and I think as a culture, we always ask ourselves, okay, what are we going to do for the team first, and then set the team up for success, and how the team is responsible for creating really awesome memories with guests for the holidays. I mean, it's quite the responsibility. Families can be like ornery and pissed off and mad, and then the young kids are like bringing their older relatives to a cool new restaurant.
Sure.
So we have to be extra hospitable, you know? So it's like, it's a really nice balancing act that gets different demographic into our doors. We get to create memories. And then ultimately we are a restaurant family. So doing it all together is always a blast.
You hit on a good point of the hospitality business, where it's already stressful, and then the holidays are not always a good time for people. There's a lot of emotions, and it's tough. And how do you support the people, your staff, as leaders during the holiday season? What extra steps do you go to make sure that they're taken care of, whether going out of their way to take care of people who are probably out celebrating?
Put in your vacation request now.
Yeah.
I'd say go step
I'm going to give you two answers on that. The very cynical one, and then I'll hopefully have a fluffy one after that.
Close. That's our solution. It's a realistic one, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's actually the counter to the Cafe Gratitude amazing act of like giving. But we had some operational questions when we first started, and one of the really important questions and answers was, how are we going to show up for our team? And like, sometimes by showing up, you're actually closing and being on your team side first, and knowing exactly when and why you should be operating. So that could change, right? This is our second holiday season, like I mentioned, but this year we'll be closed.
I mean, closing on that Friday after Thanksgiving, mitzvah.
We are closed on Thanksgiving and Christmas Day.
Right.
We are open Christmas Eve. We are open day after Thanksgiving. We're open on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, but we are closed on those two holidays. But I've also found that with my team, you know, now that we've got two spots, you have people who put in their time off and they want to go home and they want to be with their families. And then you get some people who are in LA who, they might not celebrate for one reason or another, or they have a strained relationship with their family. And sometimes like being there and being around, their work family is actually, a comfort to them during the holiday season because it can take their mind off of, things that are happening in other places. And we really do try to be, that kind of a restaurant where, we just want you to show up and do a good job and, not worry about, other things while you're there and have fun with the people that you're working with.
Yeah. And the tips are good during the holiday season.
Yeah.
Right? Remember to tip when you go out for the holiday season.
Please tip.
So for the times that you are open, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, sometimes people do Thanksgiving. Are you doing special menus? Do you have specials? Do you want people to come out and spend that time when they're booking a restaurant? Or is it just the comfort of people coming in and knowing they can be treated to a regular meal and get something that they always are looking forward to?
At Stir Crazy, I think something that's special that we do is just we deliver consistency. So we're not necessarily doing like a prefix menu, something that's, going to be grandiose and extra, but we just do what we do best, and that's what's already on the menu that we've created, seasonally. So.
Yeah, I think the same for us where, we want people to be able to have a really easy dining experience and, not have to like sign up for, a set menu or anything like that. Like it should just be, a simple, fun dining experience. And, we'll do like champagne on New Year's Eve and, some like fun little touches like that. But, no like... Carrie's like, are you running any specials?
Yeah.
What's going on?
No. I mean, I'll just say I'm personally like generally irritated by special menus, like as a consumer.
Fair.
Because like I just want to come in and, frankly, if I like your restaurant, I want to come in and have the experience that I can count on. And if I've wrapped into some prefix or something, I'm like begrudgingly going to participate. So we generally try to skew away from those, but from a purely sort of holiday focus, we definitely run holiday sides and pies and things like that, which have always been successful. Kat forgot that she has to cook a bunch of pies and sides this year. That's been successful for us in terms of getting some extra revenue. I mean, frankly, through the door. And personally, as a consumer, like I would rather order all the sides, from a restaurant and just cook the turkey if you're talking about Thanksgiving. So I think it's a win-win. Like it's a service that people enjoy. And for us, I mean, listen, we're in the business of making and selling food. So it's like any opportunity to have that happen, I think, we should take advantage of and people enjoy it.
Yeah, I know our friends who host a Friendsgiving do a smoked turkey from Wexler's every year. They're like, we don't want to deal with it, and then everyone brings the sides. It's a great trade-off. Outside of the kitchen, when you're at home, do any of you have one of the holiday meals that you host and like cooking for, or do you have any traditional dishes that you want to have during this time of year?
So I have two favorite traditions. The first is the eggnog that we've made as a family for as long as I can remember, from a chef named Helen Corbett, who is a chef in Texas in the 60s. She actually ran all the culinary operations for Neiman Marcus. She's got the best eggnog recipe, and it packs a punch. It's really fantastic. So I'll be posting it on my Instagram closer to Christmas. I do it every year.
What's the main spirit driver?
Rum and brandy. Yeah,
Wow.
we do rum and brandy in that. And then the day after Christmas, my family has a party. I come from a very big family. And we have a party called the Big Dipper. And everyone in the family brings a different dip and a dip vehicle.
Love it.
And we have dip for dinner. We walk around, we just eat dip, and
Audible
we drink
gas.
cocktails. And it is literally, I look forward to it all year long. You never know what kind of dip somebody's going to bring. It's real exciting.
Wow.
Sweet dips, savory dips.
Yeah.
What's my dip? My dip, I change from year to year, but like a hot artichoke dip. You know, I definitely
Houston
go
style?
for that. Yeah. Well, we have an arugula and artichoke dip on our menu at Highly Likely, which is my ripoff of Houston's.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, Amish. What about down the row? Who else is cooking? What are they like? Holidays. Pick any holiday. It can be anything.
We do. We go to Genghis Khan.
Oh.
Anything big,
Erica's happy.
we go to Genghis Khan. That's always been kind of like our family tradition. My mom went into labor with me there.
Oh, so not just the
we just
magical
return anything. That's where we go.
It was the Kung Pao chicken.
Exactly. It was the queen chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Do you have any culinary traditions?
I like taking like Nana's 50s era American food, but then going to the farmer's market. And like that does seem cliche, but it's kind of funny to like have her memorabilia recipe card and like I'm not using frozen orange juice in a cylinder. I am juicing beautiful citrus from the market. And no, I'm not using, I don't know, what other like packaged post-Green Revolution weird shit that she used. But yeah, just like being inspired by tradition, but then beefing it up a little bit and doing it right. It's special.
So you're not using Lipton soup packets, is what you're saying.
There is nothing wrong with Lipton soup packets. I'll share a 50s style recipe afterwards. Blow your mind. All right, so it's a marathon, and to survive the holiday season, not helping the fact that we're doing a holiday event on November 4th. Any tips on surviving it, how you get through it? Is it deep breaths in the walk-in, imbibing or not imbibing with alcohol or other stress relievers? How do you get through it?
As Mackenzie says, you have to put your oxygen mask on before you are there to help others. So it's important that we all take care of ourselves before we can be hospitable in this industry, you know? I like to hike. I hike running all the time, sweat it out, you know? Being of service is like a help in itself. I feel like I find myself useful when I am of service, but I, of course, have to take care of myself in other ways, like hiking. But yeah, that's my final answer.
It's a good metaphor, the oxygen mask on. Holiday time is also about pulling off some records and movies from the shelves that should only be played during this time of year. I'd love to hear some of your favorite song recommendations and also movie recommendations. There are no wrong answers. Kat?
I mean, you know my movie. It's less than zero, apparently.
Yeah. It's what my daughter reaches for, too. Yeah.
Die Hard.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie, yes.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
We all feel that, right? Like, Die Hard's a
Just
Christmas
Die Hard,
movie.
yeah.
Okay.
I love the David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
Oh, sure.
Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love to watch the video of the two of them together.
Really
It's
good.
really great. And then like any Wham Christmas. Big fan. Big fan.
I haven't seen either of those. I mean, I feel like I'm like A Christmas Story, like with Ralphie.
Yeah.
My family watches that every year.
Great Chinese food at the end.
Yeah. So
For 24 hours.
Yes.
I think do they keep playing it over and over
Yeah.
on TV? Oh, I didn't. Yeah. So, I mean, that's, and then, Christmas song, the Nat King Cole stuff is always like the classic kind of like, I know that's nothing funny about that, but it's like romantic and sweet and is, I think, the best sort of mood setter for that.
When we started the restaurant, there was like a main playlist. We spoke about this on the podcast. There was a lot of trip hop, and in there was also a lot of sort of 90s guitar groups like a Luscious Jackson kind of thing, or Life Without Buildings. And I feel like we've been going back to those records more around the holidays because they're just kind of like, I don't know, they just fill up the room a little better. Just like turn up the heat a little bit and just like fill the guitars, and just the low end kind of fills the room nicely. So we've been going back there. And then as far as movies on a personal, we would never, like as a kid, like I've never really left LA for the holidays, and just in the spirit of the city just like cooling down, I always watch those kind of noirish, like but like kind of Hollywood noir, like The Player and Long Goodbye, you know, like that kind of thing really works for me in the holidays.
New Year's Eve comes quick and fast after a week of sort of haziness, and it can be a questionable night to go out, because sometimes you get locked into a prefix, or it's just, you know, it can be a lot of traffic out here. Do you have any New Year's Eve traditions, and do any of you make resolutions? Make them and keep them? Make them? Either one.
I mean, my wife makes me make resolutions every year.
Sure.
So I definitely make them. Keep them 50-50 probably. Tradition-wise, no. I mean, obviously, being in the service industry, I'm like definitely not going out to a party. I'm usually like making sure our own restaurants are surviving and trying to navigate. That's always a trick. Like I've never successfully, I don't know if anyone else has, I've never successfully pulled off like the New Year's Eve party that will crush everything. I've always failed at that. So it's like coming off Christmas and stuff, I usually at all of our restaurants kind of keep it simple.
Yeah.
And then I avoid the big parties and kind of keep it small and simple.
Sure. Yes.
There's a bar in the Beverly Hills Hotel that is sort of like a kind of like a runoff bar if you can't get into Polo Lounge. It's called like Bar 17. I don't know what it's called, but one time we were like last minute trying to go to like let's just put on something nice and go to the Polo Lounge, and they're like, sorry, we're full, but you can go down there. And it was so popping. It was like this, there was a band, there was like, it was the most festive kind of like runoff energy that I've ever experienced. So we've been doing that for the past like 5 or 6 years now.
Oh, tradition.
Yeah.
Do you make a reservation?
Beverly Hills Hotel, yeah. In the other room, in that like other weird bar? Yeah, I'll see you there.
Do we all feel that raw bar seafood is a must on New Year's Eve?
I think it depends, but
I mean, obviously not like hot oysters that have been left out, but you know, something from the ocean, right?
yeah, I think you want to have something. Like if you're going out on New Year's Eve and you're really making it like an intentional experience, you know, I think it's nice to like seek out a little bit of luxury.
Yes, a little bit of luxury.
A little bit of luxury.
Whatever that means to everyone.
Yeah.
So as the holiday season runs into the new year, most people don't remember that January is a really tough month for restaurants. So what would you tell people who are coming out now during the holiday season to remember when they're out, and what to think of when the holiday season wraps and how restaurants are doing?
If you don't want to go out, please order takeout from us.
Yeah, fair.
We offer delivery if you want to stay home and be cozy. Don't cook. Get highly likely.
Yeah. Mackenzie?
I was just going to say that's a big question on the eve of tomorrow, number one.
Yeah, make sure to vote, everyone.
Yeah. What we would tell guests?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yeah, what would you tell guests who are coming out who, you know, may not understand what the holiday season really means, like business-wise and stress-wise for restaurants, especially when they know that January is going to be quiet?
I think that we would never be explicit and, you know, peek behind that fourth wall curtain to allow them into our stressed out, unpredictable worlds. I just think that as a team, we always make sure to knock their freaking socks off so that they do feel a sense of comfort and familiarity and consistency, as Caroline said, and, you know, highly seasonal so that they can have some different treats here and there when they come in. But just really sounds romantic, but really believing in what we do and making the guests feel incredible. It's not our jobs to remind them that our lives are hard. It's really just our jobs to blow them away and keep them coming back for more. You know, it's always so awesome when they choose to come visit us and come spend money at our house. So just being extremely gracious when you're in a city of like hundreds and thousands of awesome places to visit, seeing the same guests, not on like a weekly, monthly basis, but like a daily basis. Holy smokes, like keep them close, make them feel like super seen, super special, and they will come in January, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
It's funny, running vegan restaurants, January was our busiest month.
Oh, right.
Everyone's vegan in January.
Yeah.
Or there's more people vegan in January than far fewer in December.
Yeah.
So it's like, you say that, and I was like, oh, I don't really have that. I was like,
Yeah, then
right.
it tails off, right?
Yeah. It's like January's like, you know.
Yeah.
In Northern Australia, there's a different approach to raising high-quality beef. Westholme looks after a sweeping stretch of territory from Brisbane to Darwin, with a climate as varied as the landscape. Wet seasons in the summer, dry seasons in between, every few hundred miles a different terrain, from lush wetlands and grassy plains to watering holes and ancient rocky land features. Westholme raises Wagyu beef, but there's a saying around Westholme that the real job is to grow grass, meaning that if they take care of the land, the rest will take care of itself. Cattle are happier when they have the freedom to forage and explore, so Westholme ensures they can roam wild, foraging at will for the first 2 to 3 years of their lives. Their cows graze on native grasses like Mitchell grass, which is found only in Australia, along with dozens of other plants, herbs, and seasonal legumes. Westholme's team of rangeland experts and nature managers use a variety of tools to monitor and respond to the welfare of the environment, like satellites that assess grass health and on-the-ground research. The result is signature Australian Wagyu, built on a genetic lineage tracing back to Japan, imbued with the terroir of this changing landscape, and a flavor that complements every cuisine. Westholme believes that when nature leads, flavor follows. Learn more and experience the difference for yourself at westholme.com.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions if anyone has one. Sir, over there. Yes.
So earlier you talked something about being extra hospitable. Like families come in, they're stressed out, they low-key hate each other, you're at your restaurant. Right?
The worst.
How would you define being extra hospitable beyond the hospitality doors offer? And with that, where are your boundaries? When are you, all right, like, I'm done?
Amazing question. Extra hospitality. So recognizing that you may have to be a different version of that hospitalitarian to each guest at the table. You know, seat 1, hard of hearing. You need to speak louder, but then also slower as well. Seat 1 has wacky allergies. You gotta slow down and walk them through it, and delegate to your teammate that like you're gonna be at this table for a while. Having a lot of patience and empathy is that extra hospitality. Very rarely do people break boundaries when you're giving them that kindness and hospitality, I find. So I don't have like immediate examples of boundary breaking, but just remembering that it's going to be worth it. If you slow down with each individual at that table, it truly is working smarter and not harder. That extra like 30-second explanation of that dish, not rolling your eyes when they don't know what a fuyu persimmon is, and actually just explaining it and finding like a common produce item that they are familiar with in Wisconsin or wherever they're visiting from. Being really approachable and kind and also kind of funny. Sometimes that helps too. Those are some examples off the top of my head.
All right, there we go. Thank you.
Not holiday related, but just kind of curious for how do like maybe Stir Crazy specifically, if you can talk about the role of the third place, the news and kind of the social component and the role of kind of community and how you maybe address other big parts or other kind of jobs to be done to get more people.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie and I experience this constantly at our locations. We have truly become a third place for both of the communities of West Adams and Highland Park. And, people come and they spend all day in the restaurant. And it's an interesting kind of double-edged sword because you see people connecting and getting to know one another and working, and like you really see this incredible, synergy between the people that are there. But also, you have a lunch rush, and you've got people who are there working on their laptops, and people are struggling to find places to sit. But the restaurant is very, very full, and it's very, very bustling, and it's just a constant like kind of push and pull. In that regard, but to be regarded as a community, centric restaurant is really fantastic. And I think people really do think of us as a neighborhood restaurant. We have a lot of people that come in that like, they feel like we're theirs, you're our restaurant, you're my family's restaurant. We come every week, and those are the things that I love hearing from our guests. So, I'll take the laptoppers and I'll take the busyness, and, it's all, I think it creates, kind of a vibe that, I don't think we can separate ourselves from it at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say there's such a thing as good problems.
Yeah.
When restaurants are too full, I call that a good problem. So I think keeping it in perspective, and we've had a very lenient, like as Kat said, sort of laptop policy in terms of people camping out and hanging out. But I think that you build a restaurant thinking in your mind. We all do this, thinking in our mind and envisioning what it's going to look like when it's open and it's full of people. It usually never turns out the way I imagine it, and I think you have to be open to it being different, as opposed to like, this is what I envisioned it was going to be like. So, we never thought that it was going to be this sort of work-centric hangout spot. You build 4 walls and an empty container, and you kind of put in your idea, and then whatever shows up, shows up. And I think you learn to kind of go with it and embrace what's working, and also steer managers away from trying to put it in this kind of linear box that should be this. I'm like, well, the restaurant's full. This is cool. People are working. This is great. Like, let's not make a problem where there's not a problem. Now, obviously, if someone can't find a seat, I'd much rather people get up and walk around, and the manager specifically, and like talk to people and find that person a seat, as opposed to like putting in a rule. Engage with the community and figure it out. So that stuff has always helped us work, sort of work it out.
We move people. We'll like put people.
Yeah, and like
you're on a laptop and you're on a laptop. Do you guys sit together?
Yeah, you don't have to talk.
And then those are, and generally, I would say that every, this is going to sound cliche, but every problem is like an opportunity. So that problem can be turned into the manager is forced to talk to customers and build relationships, right? And then you become more of that third place, because it's like, oh, hey, here comes Denise. I told her to get off her table last week because someone needed a seat. And so it's just this spiral effect of community. Anything with a bunch of people is like an organized mess, right? So you kind of have to approach it that way, and then it creates that sort of vibe that you can't write down in like a business plan. It's like, oh, this is what's going on here. and embrace it and go with that, you know. Yeah, but I also assume people are logical and straightforward, you know, as long as I communicate clearly. Like, hey, like I'll be like, hey, I'll buy you dessert if I can move you. This person needs, like, obviously these types of conversations should be happening, not just like, you need to move. Yeah. But that's what engaging in community is, you know. If we're just doing transactions and selling them a sandwich and then not talking to them beyond like, oh, you want your sandwich? No, you eat and then you leave. That's like bare minimum, you know. So the problems that come up is what create further interaction, and that builds deeper relationships. And then I think that further strengthens this idea of a third place.
I probably worked on some stir crazy stuff with Mackenzie at Highly Likely. So I'm very grateful for your place and the third space comfort of it. I feel like one of the things that drew us to the Stir Crazy space was that it had been a third place for 20, I think 30 years something, 20 years in that location. Like, that was a real sort of kind of first, second wave coffee house, third space, people in there writing scripts, some people in there with their full desktops, like, you know, like that was a neighborhood space. And we've just been really conscious of, you know, there's very few things that are still left over from, you know, from the original Stir Crazy design-wise, but we have two beams that at the front that hold the door, and, you know, there's neighborhood kids all up and down it with their heights. And I think that our hours lean a little less work, a little less laptop. Still work. You know, people come. We open at 4, so people still come. They have meetings. They do their thing. But it's a little less of laptop stuff. So negotiating that has been less negotiating. But I still very much think of us as a third place. It looks and feels. I think we all treat it like our home. You know, and there's. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, sometimes I think that if we were to not be as much of a third space, we would be more profitable in a way, you know? Like, talk about pivoting. Pivoting can be profitable, but sometimes pivoting for hospitality and creating that third spaceness isn't necessarily profitable. So, you know, facilitating like a quick drink that's a turn of 45 minutes, and just making sure that person knows that they don't have to make a reservation. They don't have to spend $75 to $125 a head. They're not expected to stay for an hour and 30 minutes. Like, making sure that the experiences that we provide have a breadth to them. I think from like a actionable standpoint, what actually happens within our 4 walls, what we're offering to the guests, I think that kind of creates the third spaceness. We also are extremely analog, so we do not prioritize booking out the entire room for reservations. So like prioritizing walk-ins, prioritizing people like dropping by, walking around Melrose if they're in the area. That's really important. To be accessible. There's this like accessibility thing to a third space. We don't have Wi-Fi, or rather we don't offer it, so we're not going to run into the laptop problem. What else? Like our price point, you know, you can come in and get a $7 beer, tax tip, it's under $10, and that's so cool to me.
That's awesome.
You can come in and get like, you know, 3 things off the menu and still be under the Bib Gourmand price point. So like what's below the Bib Gourmand, we are that sometimes. You can definitely ball out and get $400 champagne and whatever you want to. But just being accessible in so many different ways, user-friendly, money-wise, and then just, that indescribable vibe that you can never put words to.
I mean, great vibes.
I haven't had anyone over to the house where I live in so long. Like, I tell come meet at the cafe. I just feel like it's our it's home.
Which is such a New York thing.
people
more than an LA
can feel
thing.
that. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much. Thank you again to ChowNow and Square and all of our drink sponsors. There's more drinks. There's more food. Feel free to hang out. And happy holidays. And don't forget to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We talk about food, we talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, Snacky Tunes.
Snacky Tunes is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.